um, how should I start this? I love Haikyuu. I really do. I love the manga. I'm gonna move over here. I love the manga Haikyuu. I really do. I think it's an incredible manga. It's my favorite manga of all time. Um, it's just so fantastic. The characters are so good. Every single one of them, even though it has one of the biggest casts I've ever read, it's just genuinely like the best manga I've ever read. The writing is so good. The dialogue is fantastic. The themes, like the way they execute the themes is so good. And the ending, man, the ending just gets me every single time. I recently revisited a volume of Haikyuu. I forgot which one, 21, 20, one of those two. And there's a conversation in there that I just read, and it's the most meaningless, most insignificant conversation on the planet Earth that has ever existed, and I almost cried. And it's between Ushiwaka and Tendo, and I'll sum it up here. It's basically them talking about the final point of the match, and they lost, and it's the final point of the match, and they're talking, and Ushiwaka is almost conflicted with this feeling of wanting to crush his opponent during a game, even though he is uh, so I don't want to use this word, but it's the only one coming to my brain. Nonchalant. He's so nonchalant when it comes to volleyball, and he's so just very stoic, and he has this pure rage inside of him. And he asks his best friend, "Is that because I'm immature? Is that like an immature way to feel?" And his friend just goes, "But aren't we all immature at some level in our lives, at some level?" And the next thing he says got me, and he goes, "I think I saw a new side of you after that game." And it's just such a good conversation about these feelings we have when we're in these intense moments and these dreams that we aspire to be. And I love that conversation. And there are millions is kind of crazy, hundreds of hundreds of these conversations that just get to me throughout this entire manga. And it's one of my favorite things of all time. And then on the other scope of that spectrum, I love Blue Lock. I love Blue Lock. I love the drive that every character has. I love the characters in general. I think they're all fantastic, even though a lot of them do start off very one note and honestly kind of annoying. The author gives them some real depth and really tries to explore these feelings that these one note cliches have. Like a character like Bachira, I didn't think would be as explored as he is in the manga, but his entire monster identity is never lost, but it's always evolved by every arc. And honestly, every game it's evolved. And that's one character out of, honestly, 23. I remember reading this online and people were debating who would make it in the top 23. That's crazy to me that there are so many characters in this cast, genuinely so many, that we can debate who is going to make the top 23. And even when it got revealed, there were huge twists on who didn't make it, huge reveals on who didn't make it. And I'm not going to spoil it here, but oh my God, the twists in Blue Lock are fantastic. I definitely recommend it. It's such a good sports manga. And the art, oh my God, genuinely, some of the, like, for a weekly manga, it's probably the best art I've ever seen for a weekly manga. Literally, the newest chapter that just came out probably dropped the best panel in the entire manga, and it was incredible. It was just genuinely incredible. Another sports manga I love. It's not actually manga, it's a manhwa. It's called The Boxer. It's just this very human exploration in, honestly, life, kind of. And I know it does sound corny, but it explores these three main characters on like their different journeys of self-discovery and like the different paths I feel a lot of people take. One is the very like hardworking, trying for the best, doing everything the right way kind of lifestyle. Another is just pure violence for the sake of violence, and another is very passive because of how much his past creates him and haunts him. And all three of these characters, now obviously the latter, the one I just talked about, is the one that's most explored, but all three of these characters are explored very well. And that's not even talking about the opponents these characters face and how important they are to the story. It's genuinely one of the best casts I've ever seen, some of the best manga paneling I've ever seen. And I know it's not supposed to be read like page to page. It's supposed to be scrolled up and down. But I've read it on, the actual like book, and then I've read it online. I think the book is so much better. Genuinely, like 100 times better. It's so good. Genuinely. Another manga that has like very similar themes that I love is Alice in Borderland. I think Alice in Borderland is genuinely a beautiful manga with an incredible ending, and I'll never forget that first game. The first game in the entire manga is so adrenaline filled and so like blood pumping, and you just want to rip your heart out of your fucking chest after you read it. It's so good. And the ending at the end, yeah, obviously the ending's at the end, but the ending is just as good, and it has like this very interesting theme about the meaning of life and how humans don't really care what the meaning of life is. They just want one. They just want something to feel like they can live for. And it's not on the God, or it's not on whoever to give us the meaning of life. It's something we have to do ourselves. And in total, the meaning of life is just living it. And it's so beautiful and explored so incredibly well. And I know like the way I'm saying it now is probably very cringe. And I know you're probably not going to be convinced, but genuinely, the way it's talked about in this manga, especially that final panel, is so good. It is genuinely so good. Another manga that I absolutely love that I don't talk about enough on this channel is Medalist. Medalist is so fucking fantastic. The main character is one of my favorite main characters I've ever read. Genuinely, she's such a like. The way she grows and matures, not only as an ice skater, but as a character and as a person, is so incredible. She does one of the most ballsy, genuinely, one of the most ballsy choices I've ever read in a manga ever in like the recent volume, and she pulls it off to perfection. And it is one of the most, I know I said this about Alice in Borderland, but I'm saying it here too. It is one of the most adrenaline filled, just, God, I feel like I'm on like crack cocaine reading it. It was so goddamn good. And it's just like Medalist, it has such great art and its explanations, and it's anytime a character has like an ice skating sequence, it's so beautiful. It's genuinely so great. And another manga on, I feel like the same side of the spectrum, is Blue Period that I love. Blue Period, it's one of the best like self-discovery things I've ever read. The journey that the main character and a lot of other characters take, and the journey they go through, is so beautiful and so real to life. There's so many moments that are so like well placed, and the art is so good. I love the journey that the main character goes on starting off very just passive in his life. He kind of just wants to get a good job, to get a good wage, and then he just falls in love with art, and it's so beautiful. There's this one conversation, I'll never forget it, genuinely, I never will. There's this one time in the beginning of the manga where he's trying to convince his mom for him to like pursue art school, and he's very poor. He's not like super poor, he's not like pinching pennies or whatever, but his family is poor and they can't really afford stuff, and it's kind of been drilled into him mentally since a child that he needs to go and get a good job. A job is to make money, and he kind of just has this switch that his mom doesn't understand yet, and so he goes to his mom and he starts to like try to explain to her, and he draws her. Like, it's not a good drawing. Nowhere is it even fine. It's pretty bad actually, but he draws her, and he starts to say stuff like, I never noticed like how, like big your arms have gotten recently because of all the work you've been doing, and how tired your eyes look, and how much your face is wrinkled. And he starts to explore these things about his mother that he would have never known if he didn't pursue art. And it's one of the best scenes I've ever read, ever. Genuinely, it's so good. Another manga I love, this is a very underrated one actually, it's a one-shot, it's called Grass. It's a story about a little girl going through the Korean-Japanese War or something like that. I'm pretty sure it's that war. And it's just brutal. It's just genuinely brutal. Like, I'm going to probably mention The Horizon. I'll probably do it after this one, actually. If you want to read something sadder than Goodnight Poon Poon, those are the two. They're not even manga. They're both manhwa. Grass and The Horizon. They're both genuinely, like, heartbreaking to read. And the worst part is Grass isn't told like story by story. It's a retelling of this grandma telling her story, going through it. And it's just because it cuts back to the moments and the grandma, and just seeing the grandma have to relive these moments while telling the story is so heartbreaking. And there's this one moment, it's probably the best moment in the entire manhwa. I guess I'm spoiling a lot of these, where she basically, how it works is like she's going to like a pleasure camp. She's a very, very little girl. She's maybe 8, 9 years old. And she's going to a pleasure camp to please Japanese soldiers. That's what they're taking her for. That's what her family is extremely poor, and her family needs the money. So they give up her daughter, but she doesn't know that. They tell her she's going to school finally, and the conversation she has with her mother and father, and just how, oh my, I'm getting emotional talking about it. I need to revisit that scene because it is genuinely one of the best scenes I've ever read, ever. It's so fantastic. Another one, The Horizon, it's also one of the most beautiful manga I've ever read. It's in my top 5, actually. I should probably say like where I don't think it matters. It's just a story about this kind of like apocalyptic world, and a little boy and a little girl are walking together, and they just walk forward, and they just pray to God that they'll be safe. And that's genuinely the entire manga, and it is the most heartbreaking thing I've ever read. I revisit it maybe about once every 2 to 3 months, and I realize why I love it so much, because it is just so good. It's so good, and I know I've been saying that for a lot of these, but genuinely they are. Another manga I love is Full Night. I talk about it a lot on this channel about how much I love Full Night. And honestly, I haven't been convinced by the last 2 recent volumes. Volume 6 had an incredible twist at the end. Not one of the best twists I've ever seen, but it was a fantastic twist. And Volume 5 I thought was very disappointing in my opinion. I really did not care for it. I loved it because I love this world and I love these characters, but it wasn't on Full Night's level. But I recently went back to volumes 1, 2, 3, and 4, and God, it's some of the best writing, some of the best world building, some of the best characters I've ever read. Genuinely, if I had to pick a manga to be the next big anime, I mean, I probably wouldn't pick Full Night, but I would pray to God it would be Full Night, because I want so many more people to experience this story, and I just don't think many will, because it's not super popular. I don't think it'll get a very popular anime, nor will I mean, I might not even get an anime. Another manga that I read, honestly, the exact same time I read Full Night was Versus. Versus, and I'll talk about One Punch Man too. I love Versus. It is the most style over substance, but the style is genuinely like a 100 out of 10. The style is fucking fantastic. It is the coolest manga I've ever read, ever. It is so cool. It is the greatest premise ever. The art is fantastic. The fights are fantastic, and they're always stakes. There is never a fight where I think a single character is safe. And God, the way the author, by the way, same author as One Punch Man and Mob Psycho. I think I mentioned that, but whatever. The way the author is able to get you to care about characters you met in the last fucking panel is absurd to me. There is a part of this manga, again, there's only 3 volumes out, so I'm kind of spoiling an entire volume, but there's a part of this manga where they send this troop of characters to go out, and you think, okay, these guys are the next main characters, and then they all fucking die in the next 2 pages, and you're like, what the fuck? And you honestly kind of cared for them at a certain point, and it is just a terrifying but awesome manga, genuinely. If I had to put money on a manga that I think will be popular, it's Versus, because goddamn, it is so good. Sorry, I had to drink some water. Let's see. Oh my God, Blue Giant. I don't talk about Blue Giant enough on this channel at all. I love Blue Giant. I love the story. I love the characters, the musical scenes. This is honestly kind of a similar manga to Blue Period, where he kind of just drops everything to play the saxophone. And God, it is so good. There's so many scenes where they're like doing their solo or whatever, and it's so like anxiety inducing and so like heart pumping, and it is fantastic the way they do music. It has a crazy and extremely sad twist at the end of like the first like part of it, Sadly, the sequel has not been released in English yet. Hopefully, it does soon though. And it's to one of the like honestly my favorite character. And there's a scene with him where he's trying to like prove people wrong with his piano, and he's just going fucking bonkers, and it's so good. It is so good. Another manga I love, Tower Dungeon. Tower Dungeon does this thing really well where it like creates these monsters that like, how do I explain this? You know, like when you see a dog in real life, your brain registers that as a dog, right? Like, or if you see a cat, any animal, your brain registers that. But when you see, I don't know if y'all know what I'm talking about. When you see one of those animals dead, like on the side of the road, your brain doesn't pick it up off as quickly. And it is a bit disturbing, like that kind of imagery. But you do like, when you look at it, you're like, oh, that's a cat, or that's a squirrel, or that's a whatever. But it's not as quick. And in this manga, you kind of get that eerie vibe of like, but it's very delayed, where you're like, you're looking at a monster or a creature they have to fight, and you're like, I don't know where this thing starts and where this thing ends. It's so terrifying and unnerving. It kind of feels like it could never ever exist. Not even in this fantastical world that this story is placed in, it couldn't exist. It doesn't make sense for it to exist. It's breaking every law, every physic. It just doesn't make any sense for this thing to be here. And you look at it for a little bit more, and you're like, I don't know where this thing is looking. I don't know where this thing is speaking. I don't know if this thing can hear. I don't know if this thing can smell, if it can touch. I don't even know if this thing can feel. And it just doesn't make sense to you. And that is what's so terrifying about this manga. And not only that, the writing is like so human. You get like the three main characters who are all like, you know, cliches and archetypes, but they talk like regular people. Like there's this one girl who's kind of like a Misty like character. She's not like a tsundere, but she's just kind of like mean, or she makes like snarky comments every now and then. But when stuff gets serious, she stops that. Like she gets it herself that it's a gimmick. And I'm talking about her like she's a real fucking person. She's a character in a manga, but that's how like well characterized these characters are. Another manga I love, it's actually a manhwa, it's called Bastard. Probably one of the greatest twists I've ever experienced. Genuinely, such a fantastic twist. And the twist was so good, I'm not even going to say what the twist was. The twist was so good that I knew it myself. I realized it myself before it happened, and I still felt chills when it got revealed. And I still got scared as shit. And it was such a good, God, sorry, my timer went off. That's a bit embarrassing. I had to cut some things. Let's see. I don't want this video to be over yet. I love Mob Psycho. I'm definitely forgetting so many manga. I love Mob Psycho. I really do. It's a manga I don't really talk about much on this channel, just because I feel like it gets talked about enough. But yeah, it's fantastic. It's such a real story, as some of the best character arcs I've ever read. It's just such a like deeply like, I don't even know how to explain it. It's just so casual in the way characters self-improve themselves. And it is so like just down to earth and grounded. Like even in this world where characters have powers and you know, psychic powers or psychic abilities or whatever, it's just like guys going through stuff, and it's just really cool to read about. It genuinely is. It genuinely feels like I'm peeking into someone's life. That's how well written Mob Psycho is. Another manga I love is Magus of the Library. Magus of the Library is one of the most creative manga I've ever read. The art is so fantastic. It is so creative. The world is so well built. It's like about this kid who like wants to become, there's like these like special librarians that like go and like they go out to different towns and try to like scavenge for books, and they have like this giant library in like the town center, in like, you know, the center of the town or whatever. And they all work there and stuff, and the main character wants to become that. And it's such a good like showcase of like like racial issues, but it's not like trying to force it down your throat, nor is it trying to paint. I hate it when manga do this, and like any media do this, and I know it's valid because like obviously it's valid, but like when they try to paint like racist characters or characters that like are racist as like extremely one-note evil villains who are irredeemable. But there's like a point in this story where a little girl doesn't like the man her sister is marrying because of his race, because they're, you know, they have different races. And it's like elf race. It's not like black and white. I mean, one character, like, they have different skin tones, but it's not like, you know, us in real life. It's like different, you know, they use different names and stuff. But, and it's not treated at like, oh, she's a bad person, she needs to, you know, be punished, or like no, it's like a true misunderstanding. And I love how this manga like treats racism not as this like it almost treats it as like this disease that some people have that they need to get rid of. It's something that can be healed. It's like it's not just like a defining trait for them, but it's like something that they can be healed from. And it's something that with the right time and the right people around them and the right experiences, they can, you know, not be racist. And that's just touching the surface on one part of the entire manga. The entire manga, genuinely fantastic. Again, like I said, so well drawn. There's another scene where they're just talking about the history through books and like texts and like stone tablets and stuff like that. And it's so creative the way they do it. And it's like, it keeps me interested. It is fucking fantastic. I love One Piece. I love One Piece so much. I never talk about it though. I don't honestly know why. I don't really have a lot to say about it. But the characters, the character backstories, a backstory. The last arc I read was Fishman Island. I'm not even caught up with it, and it's in my top 3. But the last arc I read was Fishman Island, and the backstory with Hody Jones. There's a small scene, and they do this shit so many times in this manga. There's a small little scene where they get like this little girl who's been a slave for basically her entire life, and she's like on this like fishman boat, like this boat full of fishermen, and the fishermen are like very like prejudiced against, like they're, you know, like, you know, they're being racist, you know what I mean, like they're getting prejudiced against, and a lot of them are very like weary of like this little girl. They like feel uncomfortable around her. They don't really like her very much, obviously. Like they like, you know, they've all experienced this their entire lives. And one of them like said something, like hits her, like, you know, it's like a One Piece hit. It's not like a very dramatic one, but you know, he goes up and like roughs her up a little. He's like, hey, you know, get out of here. And she says nothing. She doesn't even look at them, and she just gets on her knees and starts cleaning. And like, that is just such a like, and she like, it's almost like her solving the problem of her getting beat is just her working harder, or her doing that. And there's a little moment where the fishmen realize that she has been put in the same situation for her entire life that these fishermen have. And it is so heartbreaking, and it's just and it happens so many times through the manga. So many times. It is fucking fantastic, genuinely. And that's not even talking about stuff like the world building. Oh my God, One Piece is so good. Whew. Can you tell I love this video idea? I just wanted to sit down here and talk about manga I love. I love Showa Shoten. I just love the comedy. I love the partnerships it does. It's just a fantastic manga. I love Trillion Game. Trillion Game is by the same author as Dr. Stone and Ice Shield 21. And it's just about 2 guys trying to make $1 trillion. And it is so cool, and it is so much fun, and the characters are a lot of fun. I have this weird knack for characters that are really timid and really like shy kind of, and when they step up to the plate, whoo, I love moments like that. And there's not a lot of them, but they're in that manga, and it is so good. Let me think. I love the Fable. The Fable is fucking hilarious. I love it when how do I say it? Honestly, I'm just gonna ignore what I'm was gonna say because I don't really know how to explain it myself. But I just love the Fable. I think the art's fantastic. I think it's like almost perfectly paced. It's just genuinely a fantastic manga. I love Slam Dunk. Slam Dunk is so good. It is so intense. The final scenes are fantastic. And I mean, I'll talk about this manga next, but even though I don't think it's as good, honestly, not even close to real, it is fucking incredible. It just oh, excuse me, just takes a while to really like start up. Oh my god, I'm like dying right now. But a manga that I really, really love is Real. I always say on this channel, if there's a manga I had to legit give 100%, this is the greatest manga of all time. It's Real, without a doubt. It is such a good manga. It is, the characters are insane. It kind of does the Boxer kind of thing, where it has 3 different main characters, and all 3 of them are equally incredible. I cried at all 3 of their backstories / problems. One character, it's about wheelchair basketball. One character is he's kind of like a delinquent kind of character, and he like just asks a random girl. He's like driving his motorcycle one day, and he asks a random girl, "Hey, do you want to, just like ride with me?" And she's like, "Sure." And they ride, and they get into an accident, and she ends up in a wheelchair, and he's fine. And he just has this immense guilt about it, and he just doesn't know what to do. And it's so emotional, and it's so well written, and he's just always trying to like find his path and find his like meaning for life. And another character is someone who was like an elite runner. They were honestly like poised to like go pro eventually, and they had like a problem with their leg, and they had to amputate it. And he finds like a new meaning through wheelchair basketball. And then the final main character, honestly my favorite. God, there's a good scene. There's such a good scene with like a wrestling moment, but I'm not even gonna get into that. Where he is genuinely like the biggest asshole ever. He just kind of sucks. And one day he just decides to steal this random ass bike from this guy, and he gets run over, and he gets put into a wheelchair, and he kind of has to face the fact that his life is changed forever, but also nobody is there to help him. Like, he supposedly has all these friends, but none of them visit him in the hospital. Just this one random girl he said he'd go on a date with once, and she just keeps visiting him. And he's like genuinely rude to the nurses, and they don't really like him very much, but he doesn't really know how to like process this emotion he's feeling. And there's one scene that is so good that he's like finally he's out of the hospital, he's in a wheelchair, he can now function as like a human, like in a wheelchair. And they try to send him back to the same school, and obviously it's not wheelchair accessible. Like, come on. Like, I mean, as much as I want to sit here and, be like an optimist and be like, oh, every building should be wheelchair accessible, like, realistically, it's not. But he goes to school, it's obviously not wheelchair accessible. And there's this one scene where, like, he needs to go down the stairs, and his mother is trying to, like, carry him down the stairs. And I just felt pure embarrassment. Like, not even for him. It's so weird to say. I felt embarrassment with him. He's not real. Isn't that crazy? He's not real. And I felt embarrassment with him. It is such a good scene. Yeah, I love that scene to death. Let me think of some other. Honestly, this might be the end of the video. If you want a part 2, let me know, because I really enjoyed doing this. I love One Punch Man. It's kind of crazy saying this, but love is a crazy word. I really like, oh my God, I completely forgot. The fragrant flower blooms with dignity. Fantastic. By the way, I bought My Love Story. Just bought it. Fantastic manga. The Fragrant Flower Blooms with Dignity is so damn good. It's just the best romance I've ever read. It's like so not toxic. Every character just like knows how to communicate like a normal person. Not like normal, but like like a mature person. The character relationships are so good, and this manga does something that I think a lot of romance manga don't really take advantage of, and it's the fact that being in the relationship is the best part about about romance. Like, it's not the will they, won't they, it's the in the relationship part. So yeah, I love that. I think I'm out of time. I'm gonna watch the Survivor premiere, by the way, tonight. Finally, Veil. I think I'm just going to talk about Veil. Veil is the best, probably the second best romance manga I've ever read. Maybe it's either Veil or Blue Box. Probably Blue Box and then Veil. It's just so creative. It's so cute. If you want a manga with genuinely no toxicity, if you're someone who only reads like Western romance books and wants to get into manga, go read Veil. That is genuinely the perfect manga for you. Yeah, that's gonna be the end of the video. Thank you for watching. If you want to recommend me any manga, put it in the there's a form that you can fill out. There's also the Discord server down there if you want to go join that. So yeah, see y'all.